Excellent. Well, we're starting the show real quick. We're minting coins. This is mintingcoins.com. Educational, informational, content, information, classes, workshops. There's a lot coming down the pipeline. Go to mintingcoins.com, become a member, and support us at web3domains.com. At web3domains.com, we're creating content and helping people purchase ENS names as well, manage their ENS names as well. Minting coins, we're creating that information, that content, putting it all together, doing what we can for onboarding. And we appreciate support from every single person that comes across our way. As I know does ENS Latino in 7994.
Yes, sir. We're ready. Are we going to be minting any coins today, Gary?
We're going to be minting knowledge.
I love knowledge.
We're going to start there. So I think where we're going to start is by seeing what Crypto Potato has to say about this MetaMask launches SDK. The MetaMask SDK is going to be enabling users to interact with Web3 games, Web2 users in the Web3 games. Billions and billions of people, hundreds of millions at a minimum. MetaMask is the leading Ethereum wallet on MetaMask, and it's launched an SDK, a software development kit, a toolkit for developers. So all these Web2 developers can have this brand new MetaMask software development kit, this toolkit to integrate Web3 into their games and their applications. So yeah, this is an upgrade. This is working with Unity Asset Store. So this SDK makes it really easy for Unity. I don't know a lot about gaming, but what I do know is that Unity owns the gaming market. If you want to do gaming spatial world development, you're going to be using Unity. It doesn't matter if it's for a game. It doesn't matter if it's for outer space through NASA. It doesn't matter if it's through Hollywood or the metaverse, medical, law. They're going to be using Unity to set it up, right? 9 times out of 10. That's my story. I'm sticking to it. And so this is going to allow these developers to connect their games to the MetaMask wallet, enabling users from their Web2 world to do Web3 stuff, Web3 features within the game itself. Now, listen, I'm going to stop reading for a second. I don't know if this article is going to say it, but MetaMask has integrated sign with Ethereum. MetaMask works with all ENS names. In my brain, by extension, all of Unity and anything anyone builds in the Unity Asset Store, now that it connects with MetaMask, it also connects with Sign with Ethereum, which means it also connects with ENS. But I digress. This article goes on to say that the Unity Asset Store is a platform for decentralized, gaming assets. So anybody can create a game and put that game up there. It approves third-party gaming solutions to help developers manage their digital assets, set up smart contracts. The MetaMask listing on Unity is going to enable greater interaction between wallet users and Web3 gaming. Or also, it's going to enable greater interaction between Web2 gamers who are going to be new owners of Web3 wallets, right? This is going to onboard, like some people get onboarded directly into Web3 through NFTs or through crypto. Some people get onboarded through doing a Google search and finding a website. These people are going to get onboarded through Unity Gaming and the Unity Asset Store. And so they got a quote here: our listings on Unity will bring Web3 values. That's cool. to the gaming industry. It's a whole new era for gaming devs. Blah, blah, blah. Verified SDKs. Names I recognize, right? Flow, Immutable X, Infura, Algorand. You know what I mean? Bunch of other, like couple other things. You got some Solana, you got some Tezos there. I'll say it. I'll call them out. They're listed in the article. It's all about that EMV, right? So MetaMask is getting into gaming. MetaMask, Consensus, Infura, they've all launched a Web3 early adopter program called SideQuest. That's a $100,000 grant. We've talked about that before in the show. Guidance to help gaming developers transition to Web3. It's stated that there's 1 million users connected to Web3 games across 48 blockchains daily. And that sounds like currently, right? 1 million users, 1 million users connected daily. We're talking, Crypto Voxels, Other Side, Axie Infinity, Crypto Kitties, Bored Ape Yacht Club. There's a lot of them out there, right? And so what do we got? MetaMask is like continuing to crush it. Earlier this month, additional privacy features. They got a lot of privacy blowback not too long ago because MetaMask is not necessarily good for your privacy. And so they got that blowback. So Dapper Labs coming out strong, $156 million. What's this got to do with anything? A lot of money coming into the game. And so here's the MetaMask website. If you want to get more information, you go to metamask.io/SDK. Connect your dApp to MetaMask wallet using MetaMask SDK. Connect with MetaMask. MetaMask provides the simplest, most secure way to connect your blockchain-based application to millions of users via the SDK. Built for developers, supported platforms. You got some JavaScript, web apps, React, mobile, iOS, Android, gaming, Unity Engine. This is what I'm talking about. Unity Engine coming soon. iOS, Android coming soon. I think that kind of speaks for itself. I think there's going to be a lot of potential, right? Users connecting in with games. We saw this. Right? We've seen the success of the Dookie Dash Bored Ape Yacht Club game. EVM, yeah. The Ethereum Virtual Machine, EVM. Not sure what I said, but the EVM, Ethereum Virtual Machine. How about that Ethereum Virtual Machine?
Yep, the EVM.
Yeah, and gaming is just huge. I mean, the Dookie Dash has had huge success and 1 million users a day, but I wonder how many users the Unity Asset Manager has. It sounds like it alone could bring millions and millions of new users in.
Yeah, it seems I hadn't read about Unity till I saw this news. And it seems like they're kind of like one of the go-to spots for content creators that want to build like games or visual experiences, stuff like that. And man, like this integration with MetaMask, it's going to be huge. I mean, because like if you think about it now, these creators will be able to either generate income or will be able to onboard people through crypto or through our decentralized world that we love so much. So yeah, I think this is going to be huge, especially for gaming. I've been involved with gaming, the likes of like Axie Infinity, Illuvium, and other gaming platforms or NFT games that appeared during the bull run 2 years ago. And I know Immutable X is huge in that space. I think it's probably the layer 2 with the most NFTs minted for gaming. So if they're, working with the likes of Immutable X, MetaMask, and some of the other partners that you mentioned, I think, that's definitely bullish for people trying to integrate NFT gaming with regular gaming. So I know one of the critiques is how hard it is to onboard, especially for the non-crypto gamers. So hopefully this makes it easier for those users and also for the creators making these type of games.
Yeah, well, in terms of connecting your Web 2 game or your Web 3 game to a Web 3 wallet, it sounds like MetaMask and a MetaMask SDK is making it, let's call it at this point, infinitely easier for every and any and every Unity developer out there to take their already pre-existing game and saying something as simple that if you get to level, if you're playing our silly game, our fun game, and if you're playing Clash of Clans and you're like a level, 9, you now get this POAP. And this POAP is cool and it's tradable and it can go into your Web3 wallet, or they can actually give you an item, and that item you can sign in with Ethereum, connect your Web3 wallet. You can have the special NFT because you've been a long time user, and that special item gives you like a plus bonus, extra 10% health, extra sword, some cool shit. It's in your wallet. It's now sellable. And that's every Unity guy in the world, every Unity girl in the world, every Unity team in the world, right? Every level, not just like there's individual developers, there's whole teams of developers. And it's a two-way street. They get to connect with millions and millions and millions of crypto users into their web game. And on the other end of the spectrum, they take the millions and millions of existing gamers and allow them to easily connect into a Web3 instantly. They could a Web 2 game could make $1 million overnight once they connect that Web 2 component. And by and large, in my head, maybe in your head, we're thinking about small time players. But imagine once we have a big fish, like what was that, like Candy Crush or a Clash of Clans, or something on the mobile game side, or I'm not sure like what's a big popular game on Unity. But you catch my drift, right? Something that's like quite popular and it can actually take advantage of some of these concepts that gaming companies traditionally have fought hard against. But it's hard to fight against the tide. They see where this is going. And MetaMask is just making that sweet, sweet crypto money all easier.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's going to be great. I'm excited for it. I think it definitely helps build a bridge between Web 2 and Web 3 gaming. I know there's still certain things that certain, what do you call it, legacy gamers don't like about crypto. They're not necessarily interested in money. They're more about having fun with their games. But I think this is a great plus for them, right? Like if you're able to generate now money in different ways, content creators can now own their content, right? And they're generating revenues. I think this is a plus, right? I don't see why it would be a negative to their industry. But now gaming studios need to step it up and be like, they need to be at par with the revolution of this technology and make games that people want to play, especially the professional gamers. So I think that's the next step. But definitely this news about MetaMask SDK is definitely great to see that we're moving forward with the gaming aspect.
The tools are being given, and what we really need to see, what we really need to encourage, is for gaming developers to actually do the work. And so right now there's major opportunity and people are just sleeping on it. Not too long ago, we just heard what Shopify did with sort of their APIs and their SDKs, and how anybody can create a Shopify store Web3 enabled to Web3 wallets using signing with Ethereum, using ENS, and then still developing a lot of cool things. Anybody can do that right now. And now we're hearing like MetaMask do the same thing. And with gaming, we need the gaming developers to do that. A strong gaming developer could do a 1-2 punch. They could have a really strong Web3 enabled Unity game, and they could have a really strong Web3 enabled Shopify store. That you can have a store that only lets you buy the hat, only lets you buy the hoodie that says level 10. If you have the level 10 POAP badge that you only get if you're actually a level 10. And if someone's out in the real world and they're wearing a hoodie and it's like, I'm a level 11, and it's like a famous game and it's a hat and it says I'm a level 11, someone's going to look at that, right? We understand how POAPs work. We understand how, that's going to be really, really cool. It's going to be really, really cool for someone to have that. If there's like a level 36 Clash of Clans, I don't know what the high level is, but if someone's like a really high level, what's a really cool game? If there's a really cool game and you're a really high level and you could only get that hat, you could only get that hoodie, you could only get that sneakers that says level 33 on the sneakers. If you're actually a level 33, if you actually have that in your wallet, it's going to be the higher the level, it's going to be the fewer to get. And that's all possible between the MetaMask SDK into Unity, and then signing with Ethereum coming out of through Shopify. All of that can be a seamless situation between your game and Shopify, the user back to the company, going into IRL conferences. So people just need to pick up these tools and build. And so we need to get people in, and other people need to learn about this, and they need to get to it, because that's the opportunity. First mover advantage.
Yeah, for sure. A big thing in gaming is skins. So what you're talking about, right? Those levels, right? Let's say you get an armor or a clothing piece or something that, people can tell, hey, this is a high level. To your point, you have that. That's like an NFT that you own. You get the flex, you get the recognition for it, but you can also sell it. So yeah, man, I'm very excited. I've seen a couple of how different gaming studios are building this on layer 2s like Immutable X, and how the lore and how the gaming theory is functioning, where they're trying to build this economy where you could either capture NFTs, you could, buy skins and stuff like that. Things that, games like Fortnite make a ton of revenue off, which is selling skins and different, little boxes that you can buy and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, those assets are not yours. So now with this is kind of moving that revolution towards you owning your NFT assets. And, anytime that you spend there, any money that you spend there, at the end of the day is yours, right? And this is the beauty about blockchain, right? So I'm excited for that. I'm looking forward to see how the gaming studios that are already building on layer 2s like Immutable X will use this new integration to kind of build more on top of that. And like you said, we just need people building on top of this, because now the floodgates are opening.
They're coming in. The floodgates are opening. The tools are being built. The systems are there. I'm talking about it with people offline. I'm talking about people in real life. And I think things happen slow and steady. I think things happen slow at first, and then the floodgates open, and then it happens all at once. And it's really sort of exciting to see. And it's really exciting for us to be part of it in real time. Hey, what's up, Adadadi?
Hey, guys. I apologize for lateness. Coming from another work meeting. And go whiskey. Welcome to Whiskey
Cheers,
Wednesday.
Ada. Hey, we got two founders in here.
That's right.
There's a trademark issue there.
I know.
We're getting that resolved.
Yes, working that out.
Good to see you, Ada.
Yeah, same here. It's always fantastic.
Super fantastic. Cool, yeah. All right, well, I guess switching topics out of the MetaMask and SDK. So we just concluded the round 6 ENS small grants for public goods. It's the public goods round 6 ENS small grants. And what do we have? We had 34 proposals. This ended 11 hours ago. We have these right here. Let's see what we got. So we have these ones. And so we have the 5 winners. Ethereum Guatemala. And we have Revoke.cash. And Bashara.eth.
Nice.
Token Engineering Commons. And Gashawk, who I met a lot of that team in Denver. They're really, really cool. What we have here. Yeah, so Guatemala's first Ethereum conference. They were number 1. Revoke.cash, helping you stay safe in Web3. I definitely support Revoke.cash, even though there's like some similar tools at Etherscan and some other tools out there. I definitely support Bashara.eth and all the work that he's doing. Then the launching a token engineering grants program sounded really cool. Gashawk sounded really cool. DM3, I was going to say I voted for DM3. Yeah, then there's a lot of others. DM3 is really cool. A lot of these are really cool. Parwise, they were out there, the other grants as well. It's like Tinder UX for Web3 communities. Sounds very, very interesting. Sounds very, very engaging to increase the engagement of people, in Web3. There was definitely a lot of good stuff in here. And I recommend anybody who's working on anything to apply to these grants. Apply to these grants because even if you don't win 1 Ethereum out of like 36, there's 5 Ethereum out of 36 people, it still gives you the chance to think about your idea. It still gives you the chance to connect to a Web3 application, to think about what is your title, what is your description, how do you want to present your information? Because all of that matters, right? Because like a lot of times people shoot themselves in the foot, not because they have a bad idea, but because the formatting is really difficult to read. Like instead of them having paragraphs, it's all one giant paragraph, if you could imagine. And instead of having no links, like sometimes you want to have links, like these guys over here, Guatemala's first Ethereum conference. If they just had like a 1 paragraph, or if they had this much text and it was just one giant paragraph, you wouldn't feel the professionalism. But no, they have a title. They have an intro sentence. You know what I mean? Like 2 intro sentences. They have images. They created a story. You know what I mean? It's like very, very intuitive, that flows, and it just lays out the information. And so even if you're not this, Bashar having the list, this makes it very easy to read, showing proof of what, the videos that he's created, right? This gives you a chance to think out your idea and to sort of formulate, who are you? What are you doing? What are you providing to the public goods of Web3? or in the case of the ecosystem, what are you doing specifically for ENS? But this is this. So 7994. Did you vote on this? Are you guys are delegating now, right? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, no. Before getting into that, I wanted to ask you a question, Gary, because this is something that I think people have confusion on, and maybe you with your experience can explain this to me. If you go into that Guatemala's first Ethereum conference, you'll see that Brantley voted for that. And I'm just curious, right? It says that he has 195,000 votes. Is this dividing that equally across everywhere that he votes? Or is this showing the amount that's going towards this? Because sometimes I've felt like the subtotal is summing everything that shows up there. Like if it weren't dividing the votes.
It's not dividing the votes.
So if he has 195 and he voted for 5, then they will all get 195,000 votes?
That is correct.
Huh.
Yes, that is the way the system is set. You're taking your full weight and putting it behind a project.
Wow.
Yeah, you're not dividing your power. You're giving your full weight behind the project. I'm not sure if that's we could easily find out because Greg has done this, Greg Skrills, but I'm not sure if that's like a strategic decision or if that's like a technical decision because it's just a much easier way to set up because Solidity code. But no, that is the way it works. Yeah. So with me, the way that I work and the way that I go about this is that I actually take the time to read every single one. And I judge people sometimes harshly. And I allow politics to affect me a little bit. And, just to give you my secrets, like I judge people if they have their .eth set up, right? Because let's look in here. Who do we got? Come on, there's got to be somebody. This guy, boom. I think I voted for this guy too. But I voted. Oh no, wait, is this really? Sometimes it's just a lag. Yeah, so it sucks. You know what I mean? Like, it just sucks that they don't have their ENS set up. And other people, it sucks that they don't have their avatar set up, right? Like, I give people extra points for doing that. But no, I read every single one, and whoever looked good, and whoever I understand, and whoever looks credible. Sometimes knowing the person helps. You know what I mean? Like Bashar, I know Bashar has been here since forever. Like hell, Bashar is up on the original New York City Times Square billboard. And Bashar has been doing his work forever. Versus somebody that this is a brand. They just come on the scene and they haven't done anything and they want to get money for future work. Like Bashara should get paid for retroactively, right? So I'm a big fan of supporting Bashara. And Gashawk, you know what I mean? Like I know them, but even new people on the scene, if they have a good idea, if they seem credible, I like it when they include their Twitter, and I can go check them out on Twitter. That's really helpful. But yeah, I just get everybody who looks, because I got more votes to throw around than the average guy, than the average delegate, the average person delegate, but I don't have a lot of votes. You know what I mean? So sometimes like. Sure, 10,000 votes. There might be a close race, and I could sway. Like I could be like the sway vote. Usually, it doesn't matter. And let's go look at that math up here. So,
yeah, that's crazy. I didn't understand that, but it seems to me it's not equitable. It doesn't seem fair that, like, for example, let's do the Brantley scenario. He has 195,000 votes, and he's not being forced to give one person that or divide it equally. So if he decided to vote for 5 projects, that's a total of 975,000 votes in total that he's giving to people that he likes or projects that he likes, right? Versus my 2,000 votes or ENS Latino 2,000 or your 10,000, I'm only getting 5 votes. That's 10,000 in total. So he's superseding me by a total of 965,000 votes But in reality, he only has 195,000 more than I do. So he's getting a 10-fold or a 5-fold or whatever fold, which doesn't seem fair, especially when you have judgmental things to consider, right? Like, this is a lot of politics. This is pure judgment. You know, you could not like somebody and vote for 5 people on top of that person and knock them out, right? Would that be fair? Would that be equitable? I don't think so, right? Because, and that's one of the reasons I was confused, and I'm like trying to count my cents and dollars. I have 2,000 votes. Like, I don't want to give it to 5 people because then that's 400 for each of them. But now I know that I would be giving them 2,000 each, which is better for them. But, you know, like, it just opens a can of worms for like doing things that are maybe unethical or like in appearance, not necessarily they're acting on it, but in appearance, it might look unethical.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I have a hard time sort of like conceptualizing a little bit of what you're saying, because like, if somebody has a lot of votes, like Nick has a lot of votes, right? And we can sort of pull up. I can try to, let me think. Where do I want to go? So yeah, so Nick has a lot of votes, right? Nick's got 173,000, and you know, and a lot of people have a lot of votes, and you could say, yeah, if Brantley doesn't vote for you, if Brantley doesn't vote for you, then you don't get those votes, and if Brantley votes for somebody else, then those people are going to do better than you. But I have a hard time conceptualizing it, because like, yeah, if Brantley votes for somebody else, that means they didn't vote for you. That's how voting works. You know what I mean? It's like there's like 2 people when you vote for president. You can't vote for both of them.
And I mean, in this case, you can vote for both of them.
You can, yeah, and so yeah, and just yeah, it's interesting, yeah, and Brantley doesn't own all those votes. You know, you can go look at who delegates to people, and yeah, people are delegating to Brantley, and if this is a system that we currently have right now, and I'm okay having these discussions because I'm okay talking about what is a better way of running a DAO. At the same time, I'm super sensitive to change, because a lot of bad things can happen in a transition. And as it is right now, the way that it is that a lot of people own ENS tokens, and they're delegating the people, and more ENS tokens will exist in the future. And if you can get people that get ENS tokens and delegate them to you, like, you could be the Logan Paul of ENS and get a lot of like minions that each have one. I use minions in a loving way, like Groot from the movie Minions, and you know, have them each have like one ENS token and delegate to you, right? That's the whole freaking point and concept. And if we say, hey, we don't like it that Brantley and Nick have a lot of votes, then you're basically, you know, just, so, you know, if you're saying, hey, we want to cut their vote power or something, I just want to.
Yeah, no. To be clear, I don't have a problem that they have 200,000 votes. I have a problem that if they wanted to vote 10 times, they would have 2 million votes, right? For this, if you look at the voting, it's inflated, right? Because they have like a printing press. Like, if they like one project, then that would be 195,000 votes going to Guatemala. But then if they like 5 projects, then now they have 5x that amount. And you look that these projects are getting 648,000 votes, but that's not like, if you were to divide that, like in any other DAO, if you have one vote, you can select one candidate. So they're selecting 5 candidates and giving them all their voting power.
Can it be gamified in the opposite way, though? It can be gamified in the opposite way, because then you could say Brantley has like 200,000 votes, and he could do like all of his votes to my project,
and that would be fine, because those are his votes. He just doesn't get him 5 times again. You know, like, oh, I don't want to piss off Gary, I'm going to give him 200,000, but I really like Revoke Cash, so I'm going to give them also 200,000.
You want to divvy them up, yeah.
Because if you think about it, this is money. This is money. Like, if you extrapolate how much money that is, then basically we're talking about they have $10 million and now we're giving them leverage. Now they have $100 million versus me
cool.
that with
It's
my
fun.
community, we have 10,000, you know? So that's what I'm talking about. I don't have a problem. They get voting because people believe in them.
Yeah,
And
you just want to do the small grant voting differently. Like I was saying in the very beginning, I do wonder if this was set up by Greg in terms of a strategic direction, or if it was done this way because of the short-term technical limitations of like how he designed the system. And I recommend that we tweet out to Greg, who, congrats to Greg, he just got a job working at ENS Labs. Did you guys hear about that?
yeah, I read his tweet today. Congrats, Greg.
Cheers to Greg. Greg's awesome. Greg also has done the ETH leaderboard. In addition to this, Greg's done the ETH leaderboard. Greg has done. You could mint or gift an ENS name through Telegram. You just like text the Telegram bot.
I mean, I think that in a DAO we see the voting. I mean, voting in general being problematic. Like, we see it in politics. We have seen it kind of like across the board that voting isn't. I think most of the time isn't really like what you actually want to vote for. It's very political and it's very based on relationships, and it's tricky. I think it's very, very tricky because do you vote based on relationships, right? And so we know this in politics, right? It's like, hey, I give money to your campaign, and then therefore you somewhere down the road you will butter up some deal, or you would vote for me, kind of thing, which is not really how the democratic voting system is supposed to work, so to speak. And I think that very much in a DAO, it's a relationship based system, though it really shouldn't. And so in some ways it's very tricky, and I imagine it's very tricky for the delegates because you want to support your friends. I mean, we are working our asses off in this community, but then in the same time you want to read thoroughly like what each and every proposal is, and you have to weigh like where you're going to place your votes, because you can't vote for every single project. And so, I think that in that it's kind of very tricky, and we're in the early stages of it. So I think even despite of kind of what we're seeing it not being perfect, we're still seeing it in kind of like almost the base case scenario. And I think about a lot of things every day, but one of the things that I often think about, and I have a lot of conversations with Gary, is like, how can this be gamified, right? Like, can an entity come and really take over the process? And what kind of system do we have set up to really, protect decentralization, so we can have this voting system, as close to as what we can possibly have in a human way? And I think that there's always going to be, like, I understand what you're saying, that it's like, in a scheme of things, it's like 2,000 votes is really meaningless, but then 2,000 votes is 2,000 votes. It's very, very meaningful, and I think as a delegate, it doesn't matter kind of how many votes you have. You sort of have a responsibility to vote, and I imagine is sometimes heavy, because we are all in this community together. So we do end up knowing a lot of these projects. And so the question always is like, do the best projects win, or do the projects with best PR and customer and relationships win, right? I mean, that's a really good kind of question and point to make.
Yeah, and and I agree with you, Ada. I wanted to make. I mean, I think we could, like, to be a very good argument, I would need to go down and calculate each person's voting power and how much that affected voting. But I just did a quick calc, right? And in the example of Brantley, which he has 195,000, he was able to distribute that 4 times in this round, versus being 48,750 votes for each one if it was equally distributed. So in that scenario, let's say Brantley decided to divide it by 4. When he's voting for one person and you're talking about 48,000 votes, then maybe Gary's 10,000 could definitely impact, right? But then if you consider that he gave 195,000 to everyone he liked, then there's no way in hell, pardon my French, that, the 10,000 that Gary has is even going to tickle, the voting. So I think,
that's not 100% true, because if you look at these people right here, because I did check, right? The difference between who is this? The Token Engineering Grants Program, GasHawk, DM3 Protocol, all 3 of these I love and I did vote for, but also CRISPR is also included. These 4, I could have chosen. I could have I could make or break 2 of these people. I alone, right? My 10,000. If I would have withheld from 2 of these people and given to 2 of these people, I could have controlled to a greater degree if I was like paying attention and whatnot who won this. So I did. So yeah, and you only needed for some of these. I mean, right here, it's like 55-9, 56-1. Dude, that's 200 votes. One dude, like that's not a lot of people. It's not really hard in the world of crypto. I know you can't be. I know like $10 is a lot of money, but it's not unreasonable to have someone have 200 votes to have like switched this.
No, 100%. But you also have to consider that those people might have also gotten votes from AVSA, from Brantley, from Nick.
Yeah, but right now, 200 votes would top this.
Yes, but like in my scenario, I'm reducing everyone and giving them equal distribution. These votes would be way less. So, if you get one of those 5 top guys, AVSA, Nick, Brantley, then you are very well set. But I would think like
that's not true, because you got to have multiple top guys.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, but
yeah, you can't just
my
have one.
my point.
Brantley voting for me, just Brantley voting for me definitely doesn't mean that I win.
So in my scenario, who does it hurt more?
Look at that. So this guy lost. DM3 Protocol. These guys, it's a huge team. They got Brantley, Serenade, Slobo, Coltron, right? 50, 60, 100, 200. You know what I mean? Like, even though they got like a lot of big players voting for them, that wasn't enough. You got to have like a lot of. You got to have numbers.
So my question to you, Gary, who does it hurt most when we don't distribute votes equally? Does it hurt Brantley if we tell him, hey, now you're going to have to divide your votes equally? Or does it hurt more the smaller delegates?
So I look at the psychology of it, right? So I don't look at either. I don't look at it that direction or that direction. I look at it at a different direction. I go like this. I go, if like right now, my votes count equally, right? So right now, like I just said before we even asked the question, I told you what I do. I look at every single one, and every single one that I think is worthy, right? Worthy of fucking being fucking awesome. Like, get in the fight, go in there. I'm so proud of you. You're fucking doing it. I know who you are. I kind of trust you. You're showing, I get to vote for all of them. That's the psychology. If we do it, the way that you're proposing, and I'm not for or against it. I'm thinking about it like, yeah, it is like a really cool, interesting. I DM'd Greg. I'm like, hey, like, why is it done this way or is it this way? Oh, wait, he's in Denver, so he probably won't answer because he's probably partying right now. But it's kind of early actually. But if it's the way that you're proposing, then my psychology would change. Then my psychology goes gamified. Like that now I just gamified. You gamified all the delegates. Because now me, doesn't matter if I got 10,000 or 200,000. This is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, who are the top 3 or 4 people that I like? That I think I like the project and I like the people. And I'm definitely going to be breaking some hearts. I can't vote for all my friends. I can't vote for all the cool projects. There's going to be really cool projects. I can't vote for them. Maybe I'm going to do a protest vote, throw my vote away to someone that's not going to win, just to give them my votes. But I got to be super strategic. maybe I give 100% of my votes to one person. Maybe I split it across two. Everyone would be more strategic, and you would only vote for the projects that you really, really, really super cared for. And I think if you did that, I almost feel like people would have a more difficult time because I don't know, like how would that work?
Like every other voting system works in the world. Like one person, one vote. You know, because if you extrapolate me by 10, you're not really hurting Brantley.
You're saying, you know, it's not one person, one vote. It's one vote, one vote.
One vote, one vote. Yeah, but like my point is, you are being ethical, and you're saying like, I want to give my votes to everyone that has an awesome project. What about a millionaire that comes in here and it's like, oh, I want to vote for my friends? Okay. What about the guy that blocked you or the lady that blocked you? Or, you know, is that person going to be like, oh, I love Gary's project, he's so great? No, that person's not going to vote for you. So if that person
but I don't
votes,
understand. See, that's the part I don't understand, because it doesn't matter which voting system it is. If someone doesn't like my project and they don't vote for me, that hurts me. If they don't vote, no matter what system, if you don't vote for me, that hurts me.
yes, but you're giving them leverage. Like, why do we need leverage in this system? Because one vote is one vote, and there's already controversy over how people acquired votes versus people now having to buy them solely. So you're saying the people who got airdrop votes and have hundred thousands of votes have leverage when voting because,
I don't think anybody has airdropped 100,000 votes.
I mean,
we had to check that, but I think all the top delegates. I mean, that'd be really interesting to like deep dive into that. But I think people are delegated those votes, and yeah, there might be some of those people that, and yeah, the older the wallet, the more likely they lost their keys. Sure, but yeah, I mean, and that's the problem with all the DAOs, not just ENS DAO, but yeah, you could have like a super millionaire come in, and they can drive the ENS token price up to like $1,000, and they could take $100 million and they could buy more tokens than anybody else.
Yeah, but I haven't seen this in other DAOs. Like typically I've seen other DAOs where you're voting for either board of directors or you're voting for nominees on certain topics. And if you have 10 NFTs, you get divided. Like you can say, hey, I want to give this person 8. I want to give this person 2. And that's how you do it. Because I mean, like my point is, I don't think Brantley will suffer if he has to divide his 195,000 votes. It'll just be more equitable for people who have 1,000 votes or 100 votes. So, you know, I mean, I don't see why this would be an issue. We would just have less inflation in the voting, and it would just be more equitable. So I think right now it's more gamified if we did change it, because one, I mean, I don't know. For me, it's simple. Yeah. 1 = 1.
Trick shotting. Shout out to Trick Shotting, watching the show. And I just want to say that what we're talking about right now is only in relation to the ENS grants.xyz. And when we're talking about transitioning, the transitioning comment, that was something different. And yeah, so the way the ENS grants website works, this is something that the DAO controls through I think it's a multi-sig through Nick and Validator and Greg. Maybe there are a little bit of specifics I'm a little unclear on, but I think it's really easy to change how this is done, the rules of this website. And so it's just a matter of, this is like something that we're seriously interested in talking about and seriously interested in like pursuing the dialogue of why is it this way? And is there a better way? And can we test a couple rounds doing it an alternative way? And then run an analysis to be honest with ourselves about the advantages and disadvantages of each. Then we can have that conversation with Greg and other developers who are able to help. We can see what the limitations are, if there are any. And we could actually test that out. and that research can then go, right? Because there's probably, my guess is that there's always advantages and disadvantages.
I think, every system needs improvement. And if we take that away from Web3, then in many ways we are kind of, giving up that innovation piece. Is things aren't set in stone. And I say, as we're building these systems and these companies and, pretty much the whole infrastructure of how we relate to one another and how we build in Web3, I think innovation has to be a really, really, really important piece of this. And something that was said, several years ago might not be sort of, what works right now. So I think that, those are really, really important questions. And I think that, the amazing piece is that they can be a part of the conversation. Like as these companies grow and as these systems grow and as these DAOs grow. I mean, I look at DAOs and I always say, we have these amazing tools to, collaborate and create equality in ways that we have never ever seen before. I mean, if we look at the traditional structure of anything, it's really, from the top down, and we start talking about the, the 1% versus 99% and so on and so forth. But I think that there is the biggest piece is still our humanness, and that we're very set in our ways of kind of how our society has been running, and it hasn't really been the best, and definitely not a collaborative way. It's we are used to these power down sort of structures where it's like, the people on the top have all the control and then the people on the bottom have none. And so, it takes some times and that's why I love having these conversations, because it takes not some time. I think it takes tremendous amount of time and honesty and bravery to just be like, hey, like maybe we need to look at these systems because they haven't kind of worked anywhere else. And just because Web3 has these systems, it doesn't mean that in some ways, I always say that humanity is ready to actually come to the table in a collaborative way. There's still like we're still working in an old paradigm with these new paradigm rules. And so it is wobbly as hell. Like it's just not, the kinks have not been worked out anywhere near. Like we're kind of, we're sort of stumbling around and saying, well, we're just trying to figure this all out. And I mean, I hope that 10 years from now, it's going to go way more toward decentralization, that it's going to go toward, what we've always had, which is like the big companies come in and then take over, and then our 2,000 votes or 10,000 votes, or even like, Brentley's like 200,000 votes are meaningless because the amount of money that they come in and the sheer amount of power that they can sway. And it's really not about who has the best idea anymore. It's like we're back to politics. And so, I mean, I think that we have to fight as hell and have these conversations and be like, how can we do this better? And sometimes we might revert to something that's like, oh shit, that like is not actually better at all. And it's okay to just be like, well, we just face planted. Let's just go back and try to do our best. Like, and it takes a lot right now it to live in this world of kind of Web3 and not really have a clear path or make a path as we're walking it, right? Because there just hasn't been a path. And so it's exciting and it's scary. And I mean, we just need to have these conversations like every day, all day, and just be like, how can we make this better so it actually works for everyone? Not, everyone, because it's like you're always going to have outliers, but it works for most versus the few that hold the power.
Great point, Ada. I see Trickshotting is sending us comments.
Yeah, I'm checking out. I was like, damn, like there's like real thinking going on. It's like a lot of like questions in this world.
That's what we want to see. Leave the comments in the chat.
I actually was just talking to Gary about, Coinbase being, being one of the biggest delegates, and what that means for keeping things decentralized and keeping the politics and the big companies out of it and out of the voting process.
Well, yeah, I mean, as ENS gains more popularity and it becomes undeniable, there's going to be a rush to own these tokens. Like I always bring up an example. If there was only 100 million SMTP tokens, Gmail would own a lot, and Hotmail would own a lot, and Microsoft would own a lot.
What's a Hotmail?
I had a Hotmail account. I loved it.
I had one too. I lost the password.
Oh yeah, that's like another.
Yeah, the worst random topic, but
I think after a certain point, they're just like, you haven't logged in for like a decade, it's gone.
Yeah. But there are like 5 companies that control email right now.
Mm-hmm.
They control that technology. They control that infrastructure. They control the organizational in-betweens. And if it was based on 100 million ENS tokens, those 5 companies would own those. Some percentage of each would own, the SMTP tokens. And yeah, sure, Elon Musk might own a 1%, and Netflix might buy like 0.01%. You know what I mean? Because they send a lot of email. They're a big corporation. They send a lot of email. They have the 1.1% of all the 0.1% of all the SMTP tokens they have to be able to send email. That's like something every tech company does. It's basically like a stock, right? Having these stocks. And so in the future, ENS tokens are going to be wildly valuable. Like Facebook is going to own them. Google's going to own them, right? Facebook, Microsoft, like everyone is going to own these tokens because you're going to be able to have a say in the voting. And then you're going to have organizations that are created, like unifying organizations, and you're going to pledge or delegate, your tokens, and you're going to agree to vote together as a block or something, whatever the rules are for that organization, to create standards. And yeah, it's going to get super crazy, right? And I mean, and think about it. Like someone's like, yeah, I want to have a voice in ENS. I'm going to own 1 or 5 or 10 ENS tokens, right? They're going to buy 100 ENS tokens. $150, they can get 10 ENS tokens. What are you going to do? What are they going to do? When those 10 tokens that they spent $150 are each worth like $3,000. You have $30,000 in these tokens, and you're like, I could just sell one for $3,000, and I can sell another for $3,000, and you eventually have none. You lost all your 100 or your 10 votes. You lost all 10 of your votes. It's like it's crazy, the gamification to think about, like people's, because I just know, like based on past behavior, I could predict future behavior. People got weak hands.
I think there's a good question from from the trick shooting, and I do believe that there actually is at least one, if not more, but there is a DAO that is specific that has a huge amount of tokens.
Fire Eyes.
I think so. Because I believe I did look into that, and that's like a great idea, but I'm pretty sure like that has already, that really makes perfect sense. But then that once again kind of goes back, the way I look at DAOs, they bring together communities, right? So you like bring together like-minded individuals with similar interests, and so then and I mean very similar, right? delegates. You look at delegates and you say, okay, like who do I trust that is going to vote in alignment with me? And I do believe that, sometimes it's like, the delegates vote a certain way and you might not necessarily be in agreement with how they vote. I mean, we can't always have like 100% agreement, but I think, as a DAO, you kind of come together and you have a similar interest and then you vote as a DAO. I mean, it's very difficult to stay, let's say, you're a DAO and you have 200,000 votes. It's very difficult, if you don't have anybody from your community, so to speak, that has a proposal out, then yes, you vote on whichever projects but still you vote on the projects, whichever projects are the most aligned with either your belief system, the belief systems of your DAO, or that. But if you have members of the DAO that have proposals, then it kind of makes sense, like you would vote for them, right? Because they're part of your community. It's difficult, and I'm not necessarily saying that is wrong, because like we come into communities and one of the things that we do within the communities is we want to support one another, and we join communities because we want to have the support of that community behind us. So I'm not necessarily saying that is a wrong thing to do, because as human beings, like I think that we we just naturally align to that. It's voting is such an interesting thing for me, and it's like I could go down the rabbit hole forever, and I don't necessarily only have like a one strong, like, hey, this is how it should be done. Like there's a lot of different pieces that I'm like, oh, that makes sense, and that makes sense, and that makes sense, and so much is really based in a psychology of like kind of who we are as human, and who do we want to support in that journey, and who do, like, I mean, if we vote for the people from our community, then we're doing exactly what we're saying, right? Like we have the power and we want to pull the people from our community up. Like I talk about it all the time. Like, like if only you're on top, then we failed. Like you have to pull other people to the top with you. So
you don't want to pull everybody. You want to pull the right people.
Exactly. Right? And the right people are determined by the communities, right? And so I mean, who's to say sometimes, right people, right? Well, there might be a lot of different communities.
I'm to say because I'm an individual and I'm also a professional, and the right person is the person who's, knows how to do the job, wants to do the job. There's a third qualification there, but they know how to do it. They want to do it.
Well, and they have proven track record of.
They have a proven, that's the third one. And they have a proven
really
track record of being able to do it. Those are the three qualifications.
But the third one, it's like, you don't want to exclude, because like we push innovation and we want to bring young people in. So just because you haven't executed in the past doesn't mean you won't execute, because if you're young and you knew, this might be the first time you execute. And we have seen it time and time again. Like, like people start,
but there's levels.
Companies, and it's the first company they've ever done, and it grows to be like, one of the biggest companies. So it's like, and some people have 10 and they fell and face planted all 10 of them, and the 11th one takes off. Like,
right, but if you're just starting out, sure, you don't have a track record, you're just starting out. Do you start with a $10,000 budget or a $1 million budget? Do you start with a $10,000 budget or a $250,000 budget? You probably start with a $10,000 budget. You show what you do with $10,000, and then you show that not only can I use $10,000 to make money, but I know how to create a business case that shows, that's me organizing my thoughts, that, shows like a piece of paper that's like, hey, this is where we were, this is what I did. This is what we accomplished, and now I want $100,000. I want 10x more, and this is going to be my next plan after that. And this is the piece of paper that I know how to create that has that, right? That blog post, that report. People people don't have that basic knowledge of like doing work. You know what I mean? They want the instant gratification. They don't know how to put the pieces together. And so someone doesn't need to have the experience, but they still have to know what to do. And there's a lot of people that just want to like take the rewards, but they don't actually know how to do the work or have a willingness to even learn. And so we need to find the people that are taking the effort to do more, the people that are taking the effort to learn. And that's where it is. I'm not like going against everybody. I'm just saying like when we say this is why I hate WAGMI. I fucking hate WAGMI. and when we say
tell me how you really feel.
Yeah.
Now the truth comes out. You just need a little bit of whiskey and.
Yeah, right. No, I mean that's it's not a big secret, but like the community is the entire bell curve. You know, community is a top 10% that's doing the best, and community is the bottom 10% where they're struggling and suicidal. You know what I mean? It gets real. And so the community is a lot, and everybody wants to win, and everybody has imposter syndrome, and everybody wants to be the leader. And how do we help everybody? How do we develop everybody? And how do we take the people who you know, like we were saying, can do it, want to do it, and have some level of proving themselves to rise to the top to get shit done? Because even in a decentralized community, we still need structure. We still need leadership. If that leadership makes bad decisions, we need decentralized systems to like cut them out. But we still need the leaders to do the work. And then we need the leaders doing the work, showing the next generation, or showing not even the next generation, the people that give a fuck. We need the people that give a fuck. Those people need to have mentors. The mentors need to be doing the work. And the mentors need to also become mentors. And they need to be showing the new blood that wants to do it how shit gets done. And then it creates a chain, almost like a blockchain of people getting shit done and passed. You know, that's a major problem in America. That's a major problem in the world. Is that we have like railroad systems, and we have computer systems, and we have energy systems that the old timers set up. And all this new blood has no idea how it works because they're not keeping that chain of information strong. People are just retiring without giving that information on. You know, that's how the old analog systems are going. But in the context of what we're talking about building new systems. When we're building new systems, you got to take people from the existing world that know how to get shit done, bring them in, empower them to get shit done in a way where they can stay accountable. We can keep them accountable because everything's transparent with the blockchain. And then as they're doing their job, they're not doing it secretly. They're saying, this is my plan. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I expect the result should be. And then they're taking that template and they're showing the next generation to say, look at this is what I said. This is what was the plan. This is what we did, and this is what the result was. And you can do that too for your thing, or you can keep this going with proper iteration, right? They got to have that. They got to have that power, pass it on. And if we all can help everybody, then everybody's going to be helped. But if we, hoard information, if we divide each other, then everything becomes brittle.
I mean, you have to leave room for innovation, and
sure,
you have to leave room for the new people to come in. Yeah, you have to leave room for the new people to come in and experiment. And so I used to have this saying is, and being a parent, this is especially being a parent of teenagers. It's like you start to see them make these, decisions, and you're like, shit, don't do that. But it's like, it's like we all need to have an experience of like being a captain of our own ship and make mistakes. And if we walk into our life and say, okay, I'm going to follow all of your advice because like you have come before me, and therefore I'm just going to steer the ship how I've been like told to steer the ship, like new lands would never be discovered. And so looking through like the lens of the young ones is making mistakes, as I've come to like lovingly call it, like face planting, is like part of innovation. And I think and this is like the crappy part about getting older. It's like we're very avert to risks and we become more avert to like face planting. But it's like that's where it happens. It's like the more times you fall down, the more you're like, oh, that didn't work, and then you find new paths. But in the same way, I want to circle back to what you said on the beginning, is that what I love really about these grants and reviewing these grants and looking at these grants is I think that it really does give an opportunity for a lot of these projects to put their ideas together. And it's like this is like an opportunity to say, okay, I have this idea, I'm going to pitch it, and I want to see if it lands. And I think that if you are a business owner, like I go to a lot of different networking events, and I do a lot of pitches all the time. I do a lot of presentations, and it's like instant feedback. Sometimes I do a pitch, and it's like literally all I see, especially with digital marketing, because it's so easy to get lost in a jargon. All I see is the sea of like business owners that just fucking glaze over, and they're like, I have no fucking idea what you just said. Like, I feel like I should need the services because the way you said it, it seems really important, but I don't fucking know what it is. So there's a group that's like, I think I really need it and I'm going to have FOMO. So I'm going to give you my money so you can like set up these systems for me so I don't get left behind. And then there's the other group that's like, I don't fucking get it. I don't understand. I feel stupid. So I'm just going to pretend like, and put my hand in the sand. And, and so it's like, it allows you to pitch your idea and see if it lands. Because I do think 100% that a good pitch makes all the difference. And so I think that in reading all these pitches and reading all these projects, like sometimes I go, wow, this is like a really, really good idea. And they just did not execute it on it well. Like they just like did not put their thoughts together really clearly. And so I can read it because it's like I've read a lot of different pitches in my life and I see where they're going, but they just haven't arrived there. So I think that that is an amazing opportunity for the new founders, because I think as a founder, like you're gonna get you're gonna get more no's than you're gonna have yeses, and you have to have the ability to learn from each and every no, so you can get to a point where you can get your dream, your project funded. And getting your project funded, it's simply like getting in front of people that understand your dream, like people that can see your vision, and people that want to go there with you and support you every step of the way. And that's a skill. Like that is 100% a skill. And if you're a business owner, like sometimes it's like most business owners are really, really skilled in what they do and they suck at sales. But if you're a business owner, like you have to become really fucking good at sales. And I think most of us, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like most of us are very sales avert. We're like, that's icky. That's just for fucking like people that sell used cars that I don't want to sell. But it's like you have to find a way of how to connect to what you have to what like the world needs. And that's like the sweet spot. Because if you have something and nobody needs it, like you have nothing, you don't have a business. And if you have something that the world needs desperately, but you can't quite put it in words, like you still don't have a business. So it takes a lot of these fine skills. And so it's an amazing that we have this place to practice. Right. Like how often do they do, how often do they run these grants? 4 times a year, right?
It seems like the small grants are being run once a
or
month.
monthly. Yeah. Yeah, so it's like that's a lot of opportunities I feel for the community to like fine tune these skills.
100%. That's what I was saying at the very beginning, right? Is like everyone that's doing anything should be filling out these grants, like even if you don't expect to win, because it gets you to, just like you're saying, right? It's like we're on like on the same page to organize your thoughts. So what is your title? How do you create 7 words to explain what you're doing? How do you organize? How do you create a first sentence and to explain the description? How do you create the paragraphs? How do you add the context? How do you refine that pitch? I was on the ENS update show. I mentioned this a couple of times. I said, hey, I voted for everyone that I believed in. And if I didn't vote for you, reach out to me. Some people reached out to me, right? And like I was looking at their thing and they buried the lead. They were doing all this cool stuff. They weren't leading with the cool stuff. They weren't leading with what they already accomplished. They were leading with not cool stuff. They were leading with what they were, the not cool stuff of the future, instead of saying, this is who I am. This is what I did. This is what I accomplished. This is the plan for the future, right? To have that pitch down, to say the important things first. All of that is really, really important.
But that's on us. Like, I mean, that's where I take a full responsibility as somebody that has been running a business for, like 10 plus years now. It's like that's on me because I haven't done good enough job to pass on the knowledge that I have to educate the newer generation of how to do that. Because, like nobody teach me, like it took me a long time to figure it out. Oh shit, like nobody gives a shit about what you did. The whole thing of building a website and doing a bio, like it's not a bio because nobody gives a shit about like what you did. People care about what you can do for them, and that's like really, that's like that piece of connection. And so that comes from the point of experience. So what you're saying, it's like, I mean, I say it like all the time. I'm like, I need to like figure out how to pass that information to the younger generation, because that is definitely not something that they teach you in school. That's definitely not something that they teach you like, hey, this is how you start a business and this is how you get funding. And I absolutely think those are the skills that we should be teaching the young people, because it's like more and more like we no longer value going and working for the same company for 20 years and getting a pension and retiring. Like we value freedom, we value creativity, we value like our dreams and how we can find our community and get those dreams out there. And so I think for us that have been in a business space or Web3 space or any, like if you have any thing that you can pass on, I think that it's like if you're not passing it on, like you're absolutely failing as a human, because if it's not taught in school, like who's teaching it and how are they to learn how to do a proper pitch and how to raise funding and how to make their dreams a reality, right? And so it's like on all of us to be like, if I have like any of this, like how do I share it so we can fund these people, like we can fund these amazing projects and we can have more and more small businesses, because I mean that's what makes the world go around. And Brent.
Well, I don't want to give too much away, but minting coins is probably going to be helping out with figuring that out and helping people with that education, that information. And we're going to talk about that a lot more in the future. And this is some good whiskey. This whiskey is hitting. I also want to give a shout out to Christian G, coming in a little late, but loving the idea of a $3,000 ENS token. Well, Christian G, I just want to let you know that we are in what we call a bear market or a builder's market, which means that everything is down like 1,000,000%, like, 30, 50, 90%.
So you can focus on building. It literally is, you guys. So you can put your head down and build. It's designed this way. It's genius.
Yes.
You thank me later.
Please build. Please build. Build something. Build anything. Do tweet threads. Write every day. Tweet every day. But we're in a bear market, which means that BNB, some like random shit coin could 10x, right? If ENS, a real utility coin for ENS governance voting on a DAO where it really does something, it's the top of the stack technology. If right now, according to marketcapof.com, if the ENS token had the market cap of Binance Coin, then one ENS token would be worth $18.45, which is less, more than halfway to a $3,000 ENS token. But it's very easy, right? It's like for money to come in, right? If this is a real thing, if ENS wins, if ENS has value, if companies want to come in and have voting, then it's not unreasonable. The market depth is only so deep. But hey, man, with that being said, should we get over to this last topic?
Yeah, I want to see who those red circles are. And yeah. And BNB is down from 300 and 400. So
yeah. Okay.
What are we,
well.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go on. No, you go.
No, what are we looking at, Gary?
Okay, so what are we looking at? Yeah, so we got some new circles on here since I've seen this last. Yeah, so what's going on right now is that we have an ENS DAO vote going on. We have EP 3.4, fund the endowment. First tranche going into the endowment. We got a lot of green circles. Size of circles proportional to the delegation that the holder has. And so we got a couple of big red circles, and we got a bunch of big green circles.
Not surprised.
The green circles, 73%. That's like a C minus. It's a C minus. It's winning. You only need a 51 to pass, but which is like a D or an F. But yes, 73% voting for, 26.66% voting against. And this is funding the entrenchment for the endowment, converting Ethereum into USDC. So transferring 16,000 Ethereum into $24 million USD. Then transferring another 150 Ethereum into $250,000 USD. This is the first tranche of $16,000 plus the additional 150 to the Meta governance. Yep. And then this gets into the whole backstory of the ENS DAO process, sustainability, self-funded, public good. Yeah, the proposal. So this is all being run by Karpaki with an initial size of $52 million. So the 16,000 represents about half. 32,000 ETH operational, basically going into an endowment fund where they're going to manage this endowment. They're going to make money. They're going to take this money and they're going to make money. That's what they plan to do. You could read all this, pause, read it all, get more into it, go read the backstories. Going back up here. Yeah, so Brantley voted against it. I voted against it. And the Fire Eyes DAO voted against it. We got three votes against it. There's all the people voting for it. You got Nick, Avsa, She256, Sarah Nay, Simona Pup, so forth, so on. A couple people voting against.
So who's voting against? Why Why do we have people voting against this, Gary? Oh, I see Gary Palmer's there. Maybe you can give us some insight.
Could be an imposter. So yeah, voting against it. Brantley's voting against it. FireEye's DAO is voting against it. Gary Palmer Jr.eth is voting against it. Yeah, so I'm voting against it because the whole premise of this was like having money for the DAO to be able to operate through the bear market, which will last an unknown number of years. And I think something like this could be handled by doing a simple conversion of Ethereum into USD, and having like a lot of USDC DAI, a combination of the two. Each has risk, but to have a stable coin, so we wouldn't have to worry about selling Ethereum if Ethereum goes down further, which it might. I think there's risk with having a semi-centralized system of managing $52 million. And I think there's a huge amount of risk in selling Ethereum. Right? There's downside risk. It's like the upside risk is that Ethereum could go down. And so you're selling some Ethereum now, so you have USDC to operate, because if Ethereum goes down, you don't want to sell it later. So that's the upside risk. The downside risk is that Ethereum goes up and you sold 32,000 Ethereum and you could have beat the market just by holding the Ethereum. And so do we need to sell like we know like ENS Labs is using like $2-3 million a year. And so we can sell like 2 or 5 or 7 or 9 or 9.5 or maybe even $10 million. And that should be enough runway for like 5 years. You know, we can throw like one conference in the next 5 years, plus have a presence at everything, all the big events over the next other 4 years, and still run ENS Labs with $10 million. We don't need to, and I'm sure the bull market's going to come back before 5 years.
And that's if we don't sell a single ENS domain from today, right?
And we're making like $2 million a year selling ENS names.
Just 2 million?
I mean, we just let me go over here.
And that can only go up. I mean, to me, it's interesting because it's like I feel like if you're like a Web3 company and you're dumping Ethereum, then it's like you don't really believe in like the future of crypto. To kind of say it at least, and I'm all for operational costs, and I'm all for operational costs. I mean, you can sell like a 1 million or 2 million. Like, I'm not against, like, it's not like a black or white for me, but I think it's such an exuberant number for operational costs, especially that they don't have a huge team. I mean, they don't, like, it's transparent. We all know like what their team is, and it's not a gigantic team. And mostly it's like it's not like they're Bored Apes where they're, or VCon they're dropping like, $1 million on a conference. Like, they're not. They're throwing some side parties at some conferences that they're already attending. So it's not like they're, dropping like millions of dollars on promotions, like, or marketing. Like, seriously, like, they don't do much of that. And so I think it's really an exuberant number. I don't know for sure, but it's just like I don't know, like there's something like strange about it.
Yeah, and that's part of like what I remember Brantley talking about is like the amount of money for doing this, the amount of money for doing that. and we're asking for 10x more money for this, and is the DAO really doing 10x better than it was before? You know, like what are, like, we're asking for more money, but are we getting more bang for the buck? Like, what are the accomplishments that we have for the money that we're requesting? Like those were questions about the ENS DAO funding for the meta governance, but the same thing is holding true with the endowment, right? It's like there's a lot of risk with what we're asking for, and you know, versus the negative reward, the negative loss of reward. And even if it's not true, Ada, that, you know, like, yeah, Web3 companies selling Ethereum, not believing in Ethereum, right? Even if that's not true, and it's just a prudent business decision, there is still the perception. And the perception is still sometimes stronger than reality. And I don't know, it just seems to be like a lot of money. And 7994, Julio, according to the ENS domains, ENS stats for February 2023 that was just tweeted, we have 2.2 million in protocol revenue, all going to the ENS DAO. In
February alone.
In a shitty month, in a shitty bear market, when everyone's strapped for cash. And we're not.
And gas fees are super high.
Yeah, I mean, relatively. But yeah, we're just like slowly itching. Remember when we did like 1 million names in like a couple of months, and we thought we were going to hit 3 million names? We thought we were going to hit 3 million ENS names by like November. Yeah, we didn't do that. we moved like this really slow trickle. But with a slow trickle, it's still 40,000 new ETH registrations. It's still 2.2 million going to the DAO. It's still 19,000 new accounts that now have one ENS name. But yeah, so there's just a lot of, I don't know. So sure, we're still acquiring new Ether as new sales come in. It's just a lot of money going out. Let's see, working group. Yeah, so this was for the working group funding. What Brantley was saying over here. This wasn't for the what is this? The endowment. See if he says anything here about the end. Find the tweets. Yeah, no, last thing is the working group. He doesn't have, it must have been something in there about, I remember he tweeted something about, I like this tweet. Need something better than drinking whiskey and debating Greek philosophy with your friends while your wives chat and kids play together. Oh, wait. Yeah.
Wait, is that some shade to you guys? What is...
No, I think he's just living his best life. I think he's just drinking whiskey and talking Greek philosophy with his friends. And he's just having a really good day. Sounds awesome. Happy family, happy life.
I thought he was talking about you guys. I wish.
I wish. I'd love to get him on drinking whiskey. He's a whiskey drinker. This bodes well for us. Yeah, so I thought he tweeted something. Let me think. How can I search? All right, so this is what he did for. Okay, so this is probably a good indication of what Brantley's thinking in terms of the endowment. This was back with EP 2.2.5 selection of the ENS endowment and fund manager. And this is like a really weird vote the way this all went down, but the options were none of the above, Karpaki, Avant-Garde, and Llama. Brantley voted none of the above first, so it's like ranked choice voting. It's like really weird. But he voted for none of the above. And then Karpaki second, Avant-Garde third, and Llama fourth. Llama was the one that was going to be the most involved, but it was also the most decentralized. Karpaki and Avant-Garde were really, really similar. He says that he voted none as his first choice because he's skeptical of the money managers in general and crypto ones in particular. There's so much opportunity for getting high returns in crypto while keeping things simple that he doesn't think that we need anything fancy. He's not particularly worried about the ENS not having money in the future because we didn't get high enough returns in our treasury, though he does have some concerns about why we try to do something unnecessarily risky and somehow it blows up, right? And keep in mind all of this, because I was like very involved with this as well, paying attention. All of this was sort of happening on the heels of FTX blowing up, and I'm just thinking, man, what if like they took some of the ENS DAO money and they put the ENS DAO money into FTX, and then the ENS DAO lost money in the FTX scandal? How crazy that would have been! And so that's where my head is at,
Yeah.
right?
And not only that, but imagine the possibility of like ENS being like, tied to that whole thing, or having that, as a sort of like a shade. I mean, it's tricky because the truth is like you have to vote from like kind of like what you know and what you kind of have seen, because the truth is like it can go either way. Like they can manage the money really well and it can go great, or they can totally mismanage it and they can like lose all the money, or the market can crash. I mean, it can go either way. And so I always say for like all the people that are like, yes, I like invested, $300 and I got a Lambo, are like 10,000 people that like, lost like their children's lost their retirement fund and lost like their children's college fund, and so they're huge risks. They're not just like little risks, they're huge risks that every step of the way you take. And the worst piece is, and this is like really the truth about our lives, right? Like the way like Steve Jobs had put it, it's like you have all these like dots and you can't connect the dots until you have enough distance from them to see how they connect. So like when you're in this moment, like you don't know how the things in your life are going to connect until you have like you move enough back, so you've lived enough and you can say, oh, this event led to this and meeting this person led to this, and you can kind of like chart the course. But it's like in retrospect, which is it's like we're all flying blind, and I don't, I think in this case like there isn't like right or wrong, so you can go by your experience of. I always said like you have a totally different view based on how many bear markets you have gone through. And if you've gone through like enough bear markets, you're like, oh, like, I mean, I look at it and everybody's like, oh, like it's, like in 6 months, like it's all going to be over. And I look at it and I'm like, 2025. Like, don't even fucking think that anything is going to change. It's going to get worse because like we're barely like halfway through, which means like the first half you run on hope and the second half you run on despair. So we're about to enter the despair. Like we haven't even entered like the despair cycle, and I can laugh about it because like the last one was really fucking hard for us, like the despair cycle was really, really fucking difficult. And so now I can look back and be like, oh, like this is the despair cycle. Like I get it. Like it's we're gonna be okay. But based on like how many of those you have seen, you will have a much different perspective. But I personally can't even imagine like trying to like make the right decisions and make them collaboratively, and not really knowing like what the future would come, like what the future would bring, and have so much money to manage. you know, and a future of not just like a company, but the future of so many people who are invested in your company, in your fingertips. And so it is difficult, and you can do your best from like whatever experience you have, and hoping that it is just that, you know, your best. And I think we will connect the dots like once we get out of, like once we enter the bull market once again, and everybody's going to be like, oh wow, okay.
It's going to be crazy when the bull market when the bull market comes back, and people are looking for, you know, like when people, you know, and all this money's coming into NFTs and crypto, and people's feeling rich, and you know, there's a one of one ENS name, and like money's flying. And
I
people are investing.
I just want to say, you know, because it is a scary thing to say, because we want to like in some way preserve a status quo or preserve of what we know. But the last bull market was nothing like this. Like NFTs did not exist. It was not a thing. It was all about ICOs, where most people are like, what the fuck are ICOs? Like
the bull market before the last bull market.
Yeah, not this one. And in retrospect, looking back, like which one of them are still around? I mean, don't do that research. I encourage you to not look into that, because you will be drinking a lot of fucking whiskey. It's a bottomless pit. Just forget I ever said it. But it's very interesting, you know, because things are just different. And so I mean, our NFTs are like not going to be a thing, or are they going to be completely transformed? Like, who knows what's going to happen in 2 years? Like, we don't know. But just, it's so interesting to like look back and say, wow, none of this was a thing. And we're sitting around thinking, oh, when it all comes back, like all these ICOs that we put money into are going to bounce back. And no, they fucking went to die like long and painful and forgotten death, and they are nowhere to be found. There's no gravestones, like they are gone. There's no ashes that got scattered, like they fucking disappeared into the ether.
Some exceptions though, right?
I mean like what would you say, 0.5%? I mean, let's just be honest.
Yeah, maybe less, but
okay.
I mean
okay
B&B,
so
Chainlink.
Okay. So Gary
Gary
V had said it. And when we were entering this a bear market, he said more than 99% of NFT projects will die. And everybody was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, what is wrong with you? And like, yeah, 100%, 99% of them are gonna die. Now drink some whiskey and forget I ever said anything.
Have some dry capital, because a lot of deals are still coming. I'm still waiting for a bigger dip. I'm buying ENS names. I'm buying NFTs. This is the time to be building.
Keep your head down and keep building.
Yeah, emphasis on the building. Yeah, I definitely want to get building built before the bull market.
We want to get the buildings built and the grailings grailed. I don't know. I heard that in the ZZZ group Twitter space. I'm sorry. I'm not in my right mind to be opining anymore. So I'm just.
All right. Let's wrap it up. We can wrap it up. We're at that mark. We're at that mark. All right, everyone. Thanks for stopping in. This has been good whiskey. Julio, do you wanna say like where can people find more about you and what are you doing?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter, 7994.eth or julioeah.eth. I'm also the co-founder of ENS Latino. We are a delegate trying to grow our votes, trying to participate in the DAO more often and represent the best interests of our community. So, I'm pleased to be here with you guys, have these conversations. I've learned a lot today, especially about that proposals voting. So, yeah. And I think I was initially thinking that the best for the community was voting for. But after having this discussion, even with the whiskey and all, I think I'm inclining towards against now. I definitely think it's a lot of money. And, you think about it, having things in USDC and DAI are also very risky. And if you believe in the Ethereum protocol, which I think everyone in ENS does, I would rather hold ETH. So yeah, I've learned a lot. Thank you guys for hosting. You guys can find me on Twitter. Feel free to reach out, hit me on the DMs, and always willing to collaborate or talk through anything. So yeah, it was a great episode. Thank you guys for having me. Looking forward to next Wednesday.
For real. Yeah, I know. Listen, I'm a crypto maximist, right? I'm a decentralization maximalist. I'm everyone believes in a little bit of censorship, because we all have a line somewhere. And in the economy, cash is king, and it's good to have a little bit of USDC to be selling while the price might be going down. But yeah, man, crypto is the future, and especially with the burn, sound money. There's less and less Ethereum available. Ethereum is deflating. There's not most months. I don't think any month since the last EIP 5. The deflationary, right. There's like less and less Ethereum. There might not be any new Ethereum being built, and so Ethereum is a rare commodity that is revenue generating with the staking ability. Why aren't we staking? We should be staking that Ethereum. Why are we talking about staking? Yeah, so listen, some cash is good. But yeah, man, I love Ethereum. I think Ethereum is the bee's knees. What do you think, and where can people find more about you?
Shush. I think a lot. Too much. I think all day, every day, all the time. Yeah, look, follow guys like Julio, because I think the power of the community is I mean, it really is like what makes the world go round. And I think to bring people together around these ideas is so very powerful. And I've said it time and time again, like we might be in the age of individualism, but we all crave community. Like as humans, we all want to come together as as communities. And so Web3 has really like showed it to us so strongly. Like we all want to be a part of something bigger than us. But the incredible thing in that is that we also want to have a part of these communities, and we want to build within these communities. And I say it all day, every day. It's like if you're the only person that made it to the top, like we haven't made it, we have actually lost. And we have an opportunity to do something different for the first time, where it's like we get to pull the people up. So we're not the few, we're the many. And these protocols and the decentralization and Web3 and everything, like all the tools that this technology brings, will allow us to bring to build a better world. If we just like get our shit together and like allow it to. Like the tools are there, we just have to get over like whatever blocks we have. And it's like it's very important to build your own brand, yes, but it's so much more important to build communities and to come together. So I'm either that ETH. I talk a lot of shit during Whiskey Wednesdays, but most of all, like I am here because I believe that the power of community is going to like help our evolution as humanity, and is going to help us in general evolve and build a better world. So you can find me on Twitter, and happy Whiskey Wednesday.
Well said. Yeah, that's fucking awesome. Bear market's the builder market. We're building. We're doing shit, and really happy to be doing it with people. It's hard out here. You know, I think about the people in New York City. You know, there's like millions of people in New York City, and my understanding of people in New York City, it's still rather difficult for them to find and connect with other people in crypto. And we need these conferences. You know, we have a lot of friends right now at ETH Denver. And we need these conferences to bring people together because there's so few of us and far between because we are so early. And we sort of rely on the community to sort of like, you know, to simmer, you know, to grow, to help. And everyone's looking for a hero. You need to be your own hero. And not only do you need to be your own hero for yourself, but you need to be your own hero for the next person. I think it's really important that we strive for mentorship, that we strive for connection with people that we see who are actually doing the work. But it's also really important that we help other people to find the mentor. It's really important that we help other people be an example of what's happening and what's coming. Because we're all just like trying to mint our ENS names and mint our information on the blockchain and stake and mint and mine. And yeah, it's hard work, but each of us is one node, and we got to come together. You know, it's like it's just the way this technology is structured. Is that united we stand, divided we fall. And yeah, we gotta like, you know, we gotta build the layers of this technology and the new systems that aren't there yet. You know, Craigslist was so new when it was created, and Friendster and MySpace were so new when they were created, so needed, and nobody could have predicted, you know, all of this. And we have to know that there's more that we can't imagine than we can imagine. And by continuing to participate, we can guarantee ourselves something of the future, a piece of the future. But you got to do the work, and you got to come together. Because if you don't do the work, you don't come together, you're not going to make it. And yeah, and I want us all to be strong. But yeah, man, thanks for listening to me, Rand. I'm Gary Palmer Jr. .eth. All of you are all of you. We're all coming together. We're all minting coins. Because together we're minting coins.